All right, so Monica, what do we like amongst the candidates? There's a lot of talk out there about what they're going to do. What do you think?
Yeah, my head is where a lot of people's head is these days, which is their lips are moving, but I don't hear anything. Like I'm not even so concerned about people's tax policies because I don't believe anyone anymore. I just don't. There's a population in America that thinks that if you just raise the minimum wage to $15 for these jobs that really aren't $15 an hour jobs, that's going to solve the problem. I think these people really want the dignity of a real
they're
career.
Idiots. They're the same people that are like, hey, we get rid of the school to prison pipeline. No more discipline at school. These kids are getting suspended. They can't get suspended anymore. Then they get home and then they get into the pipeline. They get sucked in the pipeline. So what we got to do is no more suspensions. It's like,
wait a second.
You're solving this problem from the wrong direction.
Yeah.
So you tell me, I'm going to make you, don't say it, you pick out of the group that could potentially be president. You tell me who you, Monica, would like as the president.
Well, I think if you can separate the jerk from the actual issues, it would be Trump.
Really? What, from a purely financial standpoint? Is that what you're saying?
Purely my own opinion. I think he's refreshing. I think what he's saying is interesting, and I think he's engaging so many people. And I kind of like that he's giving a middle finger to the tyranny of political correctness. Like, it feels like everything boils down to being a racist again. And it's like, you can't even come out and say that you support Trump without being called a racist.
What if you're female and Indian like you? You can't pull that one off?
Well, first you get your period, and then you get chicken tikka masala, and then you think about Trump.
Do you get a pass for being called a racist if you're in a minority group?
Absolutely not. I've been called a racist.
Well, no, the minority groups are now being broken down on some sort of failure
Indians
pyramid.
Aren't minorities anymore.
And neither are Japanese or Chinese.
In this country.
There's 1 billion of you people.
In this country...
That's right.
The minority... I mean, how many... What is the...
1 billion.
What is the population in this country, do you know? Or what percentage?
300 million-ish.
So less than 10%.
Yeah.
Okay. So less than 10% is not a minority, but if you compare it to Hispanics who are getting, 35 or 40%.
Like 90.
Yeah. Well, in LA, it's over 50%. They are still the minority over you because you are flourishing and they're not. You see?
Yeah,
So
it's an economic thing.
It's an economic thing. So we've now defined your status by your checking account, not where you're from or how many or number. But if you look up the word minority, it's defined by numbers.
No, it's just a way to shut you up is what it is. You call someone a racist because it's like the worst thing you can be called is a racist. It's like murdering someone is not as bad as being a racist.
Being a racist, I always argue this doesn't matter anymore, though, because in the past, if you saw a headline when you open the newspaper or you turn on the TV or now it's the computer, but in the past, if you heard that so-and-so celebrity, racist, you would have went, oh my God, what did they do? Like, what did we find for some cool Nazi memorabilia on them or something or whatever it is? Now it's just like, oh, I'm sure he made a joke or he did, like Tracy Morgan, racist, or whatever it is. Adam Carolla is racist, No, you don't think of it. They fucked out their own word. I mean, it doesn't feel good. Nobody wants to be called it, but now that everyone is just a racist, it's essentially it's lost its teeth.
Well, I don't like him because he offends people. I don't like him because he makes jokes about handicapped people. I don't like him because he offends Hispanic folks. I like that he's calling out things like McCarran-Ferguson Act. That's 1945. I mean, this has been around for 70 years, and it basically it's an antitrust regulation that doesn't apply to insurance companies. So insurance companies are allowed to collude and share pricing information and raise prices. And how many Democrats have been in office since 1945? How many Republicans have been in office? Nothing about the Affordable Care Act actually went and even touched this act that allows the insurance companies a free pass to basically screw over the American people. He's the only person I've actually heard talking about this.
Well, I've always said this. I don't know what's going on with insurance companies but I've seen 200 million commercials in prime time. Every sporting event, every time I turn on the TV, there is another commercial for either car insurance, whatever it is. And somebody's making a ton of dough because somebody's buying these commercials.
Well, in Wednesday night's Democratic debate, frontrunner Hillary Clinton and her fast-rising challenger Bernie Sanders clashed over immigration reform, but both agreed that they wouldn't deport undocumented immigrants with clean records. And is Jorge, is it Ramos?
Yeah.
Who was the one that Trump kicked out of that press conference?
Yeah,
That
one
guy.
of those guys.
He was so annoying. He was just, they'd answered the question, and boy, he just kept hammering him. In the debate in Miami, just days before the big primary there, both candidates took shots at likely Republican nominee Donald Trump and his plans to build a wall on the Mexican border and boot millions of undocumented immigrants. Now, first, we have a clip of Hillary responding to questions about Donald Trump being anti-Mexican.
Oh, it's going to be good. Okay.
It's bilingual.
I called him out when he was calling Mexicans rapists, when he was engaging in rhetoric that I found deeply offensive. I said, basta.
She found it deeply offensive.
She said, basta.
Yeah.
What's that, beat it? I don't know what that is.
It's like, enough, stop.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
She said pasta.
Yeah.
She did.
By the way, they also used a word, a made-up word that I had never heard, and according to Twitter, nobody had heard, hispandering.
Oh, that's good.
Oh, yeah.
That's one that was floating around at the debate.
I like that.
Yeah. Anything, look, the thing that drives me insane, and Monica was talking about, the only thing they don't talk about is the only thing that fixes everything, which is families staying together. You get any group that doesn't focus on family and education, there's no amount of chicks in skirts that can whatever they're called. Pantsuits.
Squirts.
Yeah.
Culottes.
No amount of bastas and bullshit that can fix anything.
Right.
They can't fix anything except for this, and never discussed. This part is never discussed. He's a racist. He wants to build a wall. There's going to be no school to prison pipeline. She's going to build a bassinet to, a college. She had a pipeline. Hillary was going to build a cradle to college pipeline, but since that doesn't exist, and since you couldn't possibly do that, and since that's right up there, look, if you talk to Hillary Clinton and you went, hey, Nancy Reagan just passed on. She said, just say no to drugs. What do you think? She'd say, well, that's a wildly ineffective campaign. And you'd go, well, why is that? Why not? Just say no. No. Your cradle to college is every bit as insane as just say no. It does nothing.
Right. Sure.
It's just a thought.
So
just
if
a platitude.
we're so anti-wall, are we going to just take down the border that we currently have? Like, that's the question I feel like no one's asking.
The wall, the percentage of it.
If we're so offended by Donald Trump's wall, why don't we take down the border security we currently have? Because we clearly don't need it.
Yeah, take the fence around the White House down. What do we need that for? Doesn't stop anybody, right? Take the
security systems.
Take the fence around your kid's private school down. Just take that one down. Take the fence that's around Hillary's or Donald's house, and not Donald. He likes fences.
You take
Hillary's
it to
house. Just take it all down. Yeah. Why do you have a checkpoint at the border? What for?
The Univision, the moderators asked a good question, actually. They basically pointed out a vote that both senators took in 2007 or 2008 about reinforcing the current border wall that we currently have. Like, both senators voted in favor for that and voted to dedicate more money to reinforce the current wall. And they were like, how is that different than Donald Trump wanting to make a more secure wall? And Hillary's answer was, well, Trump's wall is going to be 10 feet tall and it's going to look great. And it was like,
this thing for me, the border thing is part and parcel of everything that's driving me insane, which is
it makes no sense.
We do have first off, we have a law, right? I mean, look, forget about every country has a law. Every country has borders. Yeah. Every country wants to know who's coming, who's going. Every country
rules than us, by the way.
Has a system of entering, working, leaving, keeping tabs on, work visas, whatever it is.
Passports,
so we have laws as well. We just do what we do with everything else. We have speed limits. Yes. What do? We enforce them. Yeah. We have a law. Just enforce the law. And if you can't enforce the law, or you need an aid to enforce the law. We have speed limits, but the cops aren't on horses. They're on a form of horse. They're driving a Mustang or something's got a V8 in it. They're not driving a solar-powered piece of crap.
Has a little torque ratio.
They have a little torque ratio going because they want to catch speeders, and we've hidden them places, and they got their radar guns and whatever, and I don't like it, but it's a law that we enforce. How about this? Hillary and whomever who wants to call me a racist, how about I'll just treat the IRS like you treat these laws. I'll just go, hey, man, come on. You're not going to come down on me, are you? I'm just not, I don't want, hey, you're not going to make me pay, are you? I don't want to pay. Like, I'm working, man. Leave me alone. Like, of course, we wouldn't do that with the IRS.
It's very dangerous to cross the border, too. So are we saying that we're actually pro creating a dangerous situation for these people who are trying to leave these terrible situations in their own country? So, like, kids get abducted. This is exactly where sex slavery happens. With these
to get them. That's the whole thing. It's just
it's inhumane. It's inhumane to actually. So, if you're saying that you don't want a wall, then you're saying that you want people to go to this treacherous situation.
Well, here's my thing. If nobody came here illegally, then I wouldn't want a wall. If we had some apparatus in place that was so advanced we didn't need a wall, then I wouldn't want a wall either. If it was everything worked out, no wall. But because we can't seem to figure out anything, then I do. But I just like to stop illegal immigration. It's such a weird thing where it's like, oh, so even again, used to be illegal immigrant. Now it's like you're racist or it's undocumented worker or whatever it is. But also, I'd like a little room for folks who want to come in the legal route to come in the legal route as well. I don't know why. It's a weird thing that it's so controversial. Do you think, and there's probably countries in Europe who hate themselves, maybe like Germany, but when is illegal immigration been such a controversial topic in a country? It's kind of a no-brainer as a country. It's illegal. It's people coming in that you're not aware of, and no country can tolerate that. Every country, hopefully, will have some sort of process to bring in the best and the brightest or the people who need it the most. But I don't, the fact that we argue over it's a bizarre argument. I find
it is on its face illegal.
It's illegal, but also every country just sits down and decides, okay, where are your borders? Okay, here's our borders. Who are your neighbors?
That's
okay,
because they don't want to solve the problem. Like, both political parties gain something from this fight.
Right.
If they wanted to solve the problem, they could sit down and figure it out.
I'm sure, but it's weird that we're arguing over it because not only do we have laws, but we all agree as a nation that we want this. Right. But yet it's so controversial. It's a weird thing. Like, if it's just your house and I kept leaving the front gate open and the dog kept getting out, or found some hobo sleeping on the porch, and my wife said, hey, shut the gate because the dog got out and the thing, and we wouldn't have a 5-year argument about it. I want that too, but I believe shutting that gate is closing my heart to the hobo. No, I don't want to send the message to the dog that you understand the message it sends to the dog when I shut the gate? Like, no, you'd have a problem, you'd shut the gate. I think that would be it. Huh. And once in a while you'd screw up and leave it open and the dog would get out, but for the most part, you both agree as people who live in this house that we'd like the gate shut. Yeah. Well, why is this the most, I know why it is. It's so Hillary Clinton gets to pretend like this person is evil and a racist, and then she spits out a little Spanish, and then she gets some more votes. I get that part of it, but don't people see through that?
No, obviously not.
Well, because the Democrats have something to gain from these illegal people that are coming in, are more likely, if they get the path to citizenship, they're more likely to vote Democrat. And the Republicans have something to gain from abstaining these people, from not allowing them to come here because nativists feel better about it. And again, like, if these people are more likely to vote Democrat, they don't want them to be able to vote. It's really not about these people. They're pawns in all of this. It's about the two parties and a political play and just power.
Okay. Of course it is. It's never about what it is, because what it is nothing. It's like you live in a sovereign nation and you have borders, like every other one. I don't know what the deal is. But it's weird that we have to do this. And it's also weird that in this day of endless information known as the internet, we're all dumber than we ever were. All right, so
Hillary weighed in her way. Bernie weighs in his way, talking about an executive action.
And what I believe right now is not only that we need comprehensive immigration reform, if the Congress does not do its job as President of the United States, I will use the executive powers of that office to do what has to be done.
So he'll go rogue.
Okay. Wow. And I'm not sure what his plan is. Do you know what his plan is, Monica?
It's pretty much the same as Hillary's, as far as I know. They're both path to citizenship, and I think, they both want to take action to not have this situation anymore, some sort of final resolution.
I'm all right with a plan. It's just something. Yes, go ahead.
Shouldn't I being ignorant of the notion, but shouldn't path to citizenship benefit the Republicans just as much? Because now you have, let's say, a round number. You have 10 million new citizens. They're given a number, their Social Security numbers. They're paying taxes. They're no longer a leech on the system. Like, well,
because
doesn't that benefit?
The Republicans have been the ones denying that for so long, and it's
so purely politically, it's bad for them. But it might be good for the economically.
So those illegal immigrants are more likely to vote Democrat until they're here for about 30 years and work really hard and make a lot of money, and then they're going to become Republicans.
Yes. So the deal is
politics get in the way of good sense.
Everyone wants a vote. The Democrats basically pretend like they care to get a vote, and the Republicans do a crappy job of pretending like they do a worse job of pretending like they care, so they don't get the vote. But it's smart. The Democrats have just painted the Republicans as all racist. Mm-hmm. So if you do get in here, you're not going to vote for the racist if you're that group. Yeah. Although, like I said, the part that's always mind-numbing is there are many races. The thing that's insane is, when you take Nazis or you take the Klan, historically, they take them and, I don't know, my Mount Rushmore of racists. Mm-hmm. That I have
it's been debated for a long time.
Right. Small paper mache representation at home that I keep on my desk just to keep myself centered.
Right.
So I see that all the nuttiness that's going on in our world. The Nazis, they didn't like Jews, but they didn't like gypsies,
right.
But they didn't like gay retarded people.
They
and
they like black people, and I'm sure they wouldn't have liked them.
And they didn't like gay people, mm-hmm. and they didn't like any. They were pretty good. They didn't walk past the gypsy and the gay person to get to the Jew. Mm-hmm. And when you take a look at ISIS, they don't like Jews, but they're not that tolerant of what women folk are doing and what gay folk are doing, and
what other Muslims are doing.
And what other Muslims are doing. So guess what? Everyone's getting a grenade. The Klan, not a fan of the black folk, but not a fan of the Jew folks either.
Seeing a thread.
They're pretty consistent folks.
Yeah.
They don't wear printed sheets.
What the Huffington
solid sheets.
What the Huffington Post would try to make you believe about me is that I'm racist. So I don't like black people or Hispanic people.
You don't like anybody.
But for some reason, I'm totally cool with the Jews, the Japanese, the Indian, the Chinese, and whomever. That's sort of a bizarre...
It's a mixed message.
That's a tough sell.
Yeah.
That's a tough sell because...
It's fuzzy math.
It should be white, and more white when it comes to that. Get that, would
I
you,
am
Brian?
not white.
That's wrong.
First off...
I am not one of you?
Yeah, 2 strikes, curry nipples. You got the Indian and you're female, so I don't like... Yeah, so I shouldn't like Monica,
so sorry, Monica.
times...
We stand with me.
Times 2. You see what I'm saying? According to HuffPo, but HuffPo doesn't work that way. They've decided we just pick and choose the people... Because I should not like Canadians as well, just because they're different than me.
The Republican institutional argument is just as idiotic, honestly. So, these people who come in illegally do jobs that Americans don't want to do. They're picking grapes for your Chardonnay. They're taking care of your children. They're mowing the lawns. I don't see lower income white people lining up to do these jobs.
No, I think they would if they had to. And I like a I don't mind a part. By the way, it drives me nuts when anybody says, look at these people, you pay them nothing, and they're picking you want to pay $5 for a head of lettuce? And it's like, yes, I do, if it means that person's being adequately compensated. Like, I don't want to pay $50 for a lobster tail, but I'm assuming that's the going rate. No, would you like some poor little Mexican kid diving down in the bay without any proper equipment and dying and getting this so I could get my lobster tail for $14 instead of $44? Like, no, not really. I'd like the going rate to be the going rate. I think most people want the going rate to be the going rate. So it's always weird
lobster tail
when they go, are you willing to pay this for an apple or this for a head of lettuce? I'm like, I'm willing to pay whatever, a fair wage and a safe working environment will get me my apple for. Hopefully it won't be $80.
And if the world dictates that's too much to spend on an apple or lobster or whatever, then that thing will not sell and will probably come down in price or will go away.
So when Arizona took harsher measures to actually put a barrier and they put a fence, illegal immigration dropped precipitously, and they actually found that wages for construction went up by 10%, wages for agriculture went up by 15%, but business owners complained that they couldn't find enough help. They still could not get people to fill these jobs.
Well, also, it's a generational thing, which is you cannot look. I work construction in Los Angeles my entire life. There's no such thing as a black, a Japanese, Chinese, Jew on the job site. There's nothing but white dudes and Mexican dudes.
Fact.
That is it. And when it comes to certain traits like masonry, drywall, the guys that are doing all the stacking cinder blocks and stuff like that, all that, it's all Hispanics. It's 100% Hispanic in Los Angeles. So if you got rid of all that, there would be a real vacuum in masonry. There would not be people who knew how to sling stucco in the city of Los Angeles. But in some time, if we started taking people, younger people, or if we went into the inner city and we went, hey, you can make $16 an hour putting up stucco. This is a craft. You can learn how to do this. This is a hawk. There's a brown coat. It's a color coat. It's a scratch coat. It's a notch trowel. Torque ratios. Everything. All the spreadsheets I've worked out on stucco.
Well, it's like
I think we could take some of those people and go, yeah, but certainly if you just shut it off, like if you just flip a switch and you go, every single Mexican who does masonry work out of Los Angeles, oh yeah, there'd be a big problem. I would probably quit doing podcasting and temporarily do stucco for like $2,000 an hour.
Yeah. And we did kind of talk about that before with landscaping. That it used to be predominantly Japanese, at least in Los Angeles, Asian.
Right.
And now
Mr.
it's
Miyagi,
not.
yes.
Yeah, that's right. My grandparents had a Japanese guy who came by once a week, Mr. Otaki or something. Now it sounds insane. But listen, everybody, there used to be Jewish fighters, as I always say. Why? What? You can't picture Jewish in boxing. Sounds like a weird mixture. But yeah, there were tons of Jewish boxers turn of the century and in the 20s and 30s because they're refugees. Guess what? They were poor. That's what they did. Else. Now they manage. Yeah.
They hit the books.
They don't get their head. Yeah, they don't get their head bashed in anymore because they are. But there used to be tons of Italian fighters, tons of Irish fighters, tons of Jewish fighters. But guess what? Not so much anymore because family, education got themselves out of that game. So you can get yourself out of whatever game because you think to yourself, well, what are the Jews? What are the Italians? What are the Irish? What do they have in common? Well, what they have in common is grandpa or dad will get his head bashed in, but the kid, he's going to college. Or we're going to work this out so he doesn't have to get his head bashed in. Yeah. That's the way this country works, everybody. All right, let's bring it home.
You got it. I'm Gina Grad, and that's the news.